We'll call the meeting to order. We have a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Mrs. Franks.
Mayor Kindle.
Present.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Present.
Councilman Jenny.
Here.
Councilwoman LaPratt.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Here.
Councilwoman Williams.
Present.
Councilman Toussaint.
Present.
Acting City Manager Szymanski.
Here.
City Attorney DeWally.
Here.
Okay. All set.
All right. We're here for C on the agenda, and it's special business and to adopt the zoning ordinance amendment.
Okay, Mayor and Council, before we get into the item number, I just have a few remarks I would like to make at this time. This meeting is not about prohibition of marijuana dispensaries in Harper Woods. Marijuana was passed by a 63% yes vote on the referendum over 2 years ago. This meeting is about correcting technicality that could add financial and/or legal exposure to the city of Harper Woods regarding the selection process of those who wish to participate in the application process. City Council is just doing its part to ensure potential litigation is kept to a minimum. All of the concerns with crime, traffic, public nuisance are covered in the new zoning regulations specifically designed to meet the concerns of residents and neighboring businesses. If a business owner is not compliant with our zoning and regulatory ordinances, the business license will be revoked, plain and simple. And having said that, we will go to G2, adopt amendment zoning ordinance. A public hearing has been opened, held, and closed to hear public input and comment on the potential elimination of the marijuana establishments buffer under Section C of the recently adopted amendment to the zoning ordinance. Based upon discussions with the advisory committee and council, it appears the city's intent has consistently been to permit retail adult recreational marijuana establishments be limited to the streets frontage of Harper and Kelly. Further, the intent was to permit the free market economy and business decisions of these establishments to determine placement within these confines. Consistent with this intent, a small modification is necessary to the zoning ordinance. All other rules, regulations, and requirements remain the same. It is my recommendation that the section of the zoning ordinance regarding locations of marijuana retail locations reflects the elimination of this buffer. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
all off the resolution. A resolution to amend the zoning ordinance section 10-264, locations eliminating marijuana establishment buffer. Further, to direct the city clerk to publish a notice of this in accordance with city charter requirements.
Support.
All right. Discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I just want to mention a few things. First of all, three things actually. First, the Cannabis Committee, of which I was a member, determined the distance for buffering to be 1,500 feet because we want to limit the number of facilities that can come into our community. And one of the only ways we can do that is by putting a buffer along those roadways, so along Harper and along Kelly. That would naturally reduce the number of facilities that could establish themselves in the community. I know that there is some concern about the potential for lawsuits, which is just kind of part of the process when it comes to cannabis
Business, right.
businesses. But one thing I was assured of by the attorney I spoke with is that buffers for zoning are not unique, and they're not unique to cannabis facilities, that we already have buffers for zoning. You don't see one liquor store next to another because there are buffers in place that prevent that from happening. And so having a buffer for a cannabis facility is not a unique situation. That judges are familiar with that, and the city should expect to be upheld when it comes to their buffering requirements as zoning process. And finally, that if we leave the buffer in place, of course, we talked about that as part of the cannabis committee as well, that it does take a first come, first served. Does everyone have their license in place? Does everyone have, their site plans thoroughly vetted, et cetera? Are they prepared, at that point to open? Lara requires that before a facility is even sited, they even have a site plan, they need to be pre-qualified. And their pre-qualification process is for the security of the community. We make certain that there are no people who want to establish facilities who have, outstanding legal problems, who can pay for this, who can, that anyone that's associated with a business is upstanding, right, other than having a traffic ticket. My understanding is that Lara does this as part of the pre-qualification process. And we can always, in the future, if we see how this is working with our 1,500-foot buffer, we can always come back and change it in the future. It is not set in stone, but if we remove it now, we're not going to be able to come back and change it in the future. It'll be a, it's unlikely to happen, but if we remove the buffer, we could see businesses from Eastwood all the way up to 8 Mile, not Vernier, but 8 Mile, because that entire distance is open essentially for any kind of establishment to come in. It's already zoned C1 or C2, which is one of our requirements, and without the buffer, that could happen. So I am strongly recommending that we keep the buffer in place in order to, first of all, help to reduce the number of facilities, which was the reason why we put it in the first place, and secondly, to allow our community to see how it's working for us. Thank you.
Yes.
Madam Mayor? Yeah, I mean, I don't see why we're rushing this so much. I don't think we need to rush it. Most of the candidates still don't even have their state licensing, so I think we have some time. There's been some recent judicial outcomes where the judges are supporting and backing up the cities. We knew going into this, and I went to the workshop on this through the Michigan Municipal League. Many cities said that they wish they hadn't done this because of the lawsuits. And there's just no way that we're going to avoid lawsuits if we go forward or not. Right now, we're starting to see some more judges at higher level courts backing up the cities. So as long as the municipalities are following the state rules and they're sharing their selection process, then they don't have to invite everybody who applies to have a business. They can select and choose. And as even just a little bit more time passes, we're going to see even more precedent We've had one go to the Michigan Supreme Court, which favored the city. And, you know, we'll see more cases that will support us, the city. Additionally, we need to work with our legislators. We have our state rep, our state senator, to promote legislation that favors the city, that supports the city and our decision-making process. We shouldn't have to be at the mercy of selecting everybody. What's gonna happen is if we select everybody who puts in their application, we're gonna have businesses all over, up and down these corridors, which are near neighborhoods. And then some of these businesses are going to go out of business. We see this happening in Hamtramck, we see this happening in Detroit and other cities where there is so much competition that some of the businesses are going out. And then when you have a vacant, abandoned building, and then they're not paying their taxes. I really feel like in the long run, taking this step is going to cost us more money than it's going to make us. This is a bad idea. I think we are about to make a mistake that we can't undo, and it will affect our city for years to come, long after we're gone, like how we've been stuck with these legacy costs. Decisions that were made 40 and 50 years ago, we have been stuck with for all this time. And it's really hard to undo a decision like this. I don't see why we have to take action on this right at this moment. Just put a hold, just put a hold on everything. Make sure that we're doing everything right. Wait for better legislation. Wait for better, more responsibility from the judges and more from the state. We can ask for more guidance. We can ask for more processes. And this way we can do it just right. I don't think that rushing into this is a good idea. I think we take our time, make sure that we're protecting our residents, make sure we're protecting our businesses, and, not end up with a bunch of vacant storefronts.
Any further discussion?
Madam Mayor? So 2 years ago, a different council that I wasn't on was presented with they had to pass an ordinance. That was 2 years ago. They did it with due diligence in order to fight this lawsuit, this petition that had come about. I sat in the audience, saw it on the website, saw the agenda, read the minutes. It was never in secret. I joined council, and in June, we came here and we were presented an agenda where we had to name how many establishments we wanted. At the end of that meeting, we agreed to 3. Then we came back and that was changed because of some laws that were looked into, and the buffer of 1,500 feet was come about. I've done massive reading. I've called a city council person from Hamtramck, found out how they went about this. I talked to an attorney that I know, and I feel comfortable with my vote.
Is there anyone
We
else?
haven't voted yet. So I'll vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none? Roll call vote, Mrs. Franks?
Councilwoman Costantino.
No.
Councilman Jenny.
No.
Councilwoman LaPrat.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
No.
Councilman Toussaint.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kendall.
Yes.
Okay, resolution fails.
Four to three.
43.
Call to the audience.
All right, call to the audience. You can have 3 minutes.
Madam Mayor, can I?
It was 4-3. The resolution failed.
So it stays the same.
I'm sorry?
Excuse me? That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so call the audience, call the council. Excuse me?
Call the audience.
My name is Lori Sheridan. Is this on? Can people hear me? My name is Lori Sheridan, and I live on Country Club. I've been a resident in Harper Woods for 43 years. I was here on Monday. I very much question what went on here on Monday because all of a sudden everybody got quiet and there was a no vote and we didn't know what was going on. At the end, you said that the resolution failed because you did not take a vote. Then yesterday, was it Tuesday, we see that there's a special meeting put on so that you can come back and have that vote, not assuming that people will be here. Well, we have a community that's standing here behind us, and we feel very strongly about this. We understand that marijuana is legal that it's going to come, but we want to be part of that conversation, and we would appreciate if they can open up these cannabis meetings to have at least 1 or 2 residents in these affected areas of the cannabis dispensary zones on Kelly Road and on Harper. We want to make sure that we're not doing this. And we may have been asleep at the wheel, but we're not asleep any longer. And we really appreciate the council people who went and did their homework and came back today with your comments. That was much appreciated. So thank you very much. That's all I have to say.
My name is Kristen Olin Sullivan. I also live on Country Club. And first of all, I'd like to apologize to you for being so late to the party. Shame on me for not paying more attention, but also shame on all of you for just using the minimal requirements to notify the community of these meetings. To have to go to a website, click 4 levels down, and a lot of people in our community aren't tech savvy. So I propose that in the future, maybe an agenda item would be finding better ways to communicate with the community on important issues like this that could impact the entire culture of our community. At Monday's meeting, many of you shared your views and explanations as to how we got here, and I appreciate the vote tonight. I also shared on Monday's meeting that the traffic and parking issues on Country Club and Harper were a constant play, and that also goes with some of the parking issues in the proposed site for the Grosse Pointe Pet Adoption Society. The increasing traffic congestion and congestion along Harper Avenue creates great risk to the residents, to children who play in those alleys, and who frequently ride bikes and walk in those alleys. Just this morning, there was a car-bike accident on the corner of Harper and Lockmore. Fortunately, there were no serious injuries, but that's just one example of what could happen if you increase the traffic with a marijuana store on the corner. In addition, there's also a threat of increased traffic and foot traffic from nefarious activities at the Park Crest site. The owners of XY Electric tell us the other day when we were talking with them that they often see hookers near their building at night. Do you think it's possible that if you put a pot store down the street, that those hookers might mosey on down to Country Club or Buffet? Is that the kind of influence that you want in your community? Is that what you want visitors who are driving down Harper Avenue to see? This is Harper Woods. Is that what you would want on your street? Thanks for your time.
Alrighty.
Hi, I'm Scott Dornbrock. I'm also on Country Club, and I just want to kind of reemphasize, thank you for the no votes tonight. Well, I'm hoping those no votes came from the people that you were listening to and supporting, or the residents of Harper Woods Country Club. As you've heard, Country Club has always been a great street. I think it's one of the nicest streets around. When the pediatrician's office was open and Hunter's was there, traffic was busy. I mean, you're gonna hear about this it's nothing new, right? Country Club's always been a very busy street. It's a crossover for the bridge. You got the pediatrician's office at that time, which was, a few years ago. We had people parking on both sides of the street, people running into Hunter's, getting their quick prescription. And we had the employees parking down the street, which is not bad, but those businesses close at 5 and 6 o'clock at night. I'm hearing that possibility that the cannabis business is open till 9, 10 o'clock at night. And then I'm also concerned about if it ever did get to Country Club, is the parking lot going to be so lit up like it's a football field? For whatever security, whatever ordinances you guys have, getting that light pollution. And we have some great businesses over there that we've been talking to lately. Sir Speedy Printing, Point Alarm. Those are great businesses for our community. They have light foot traffic. They don't have a lot of traffic. Those businesses. And Sir Speedy Printing has done an awesome job of their construction, keeping it up. It's beautiful. I talked with Tom tonight, who's the owner of Sir Speedy. It's a tongue twister. As you probably know, he's the local. So, I'm glad for the vote tonight, and we're going to just emphasize that we're not for these businesses. We want to keep our company, our city the way it is. We look for other alternatives potentially. And why rush into it? Because what is done, once it's done, it's nearly impossible to undo. So, thank you for your time and your vote.
Hello, my name is Tom Sheridan. I've been a resident of Harper Woods as a homeowner since 1981. And one of the things that concerned me was, I think Mr. John Szymanski mentioned it, saying that they did no traffic surveys. Is this due diligence, or is this somebody sleeping at the wheel? Also, you see these dispensaries, you have 5, as of June of 22, you had, according to the state of Michigan's numbers, you had 526 dispensaries in the state. You're proposing 8. That's a 1.5% increase in the whole state, in our city alone. And you're talking about, with the city population the way it is, you're talking about 1 dispensary per 1,875 people. I propose the buffer be increased to 3,500 square feet, or 3,500 feet. The entrance to the buildings could only be on Harper or Kelly, and they have to be at least 200 feet away from the residents of any neighborhood. Also, you have signage. We don't want signs hanging over the freeway saying, "Come see us." The signage can only be 18 inches above the front door with no bigger than 4 by 6 feet. And also 1 sign only. And signs posted for no residential street parking. And so the entrance can only be on the main streets. And all these places that you're proposing were old doctor's offices with many, many windows, 23, 24, 25 windows. And how are you going to do the aesthetics on that if you're going to make it secure? You're going to put up bars? Or I propose a citizens committee to put forth what the aesthetics of these buildings will be. And so therefore we can take an open look at it, as citizens. And we're the ones in the neighborhood. We're trying, instead of getting young couples with kids to move into the neighborhood, you're talking about putting dispensaries in. That's going to stop anybody from coming into the city in a way of living with their kids. Why would you want to do this? I thought we tried to build the neighborhoods back up. What is the process here? And, and again, you're going to have lines up of people waiting to get in the doors, which happens on 8 Mile a lot, I propose that we have no more than 15 in line, and if they extend that, business have to shut down for a half hour, clear the line, and if they don't, you have fines, starting off with $500. Make the city money. Also, $250 increase per violation over a period of time. Also, the money that the city gets from the state, which is $51,800 per dispensary, strictly going to the police department and not cutting the budget of the police department to make this work. So we can get police protection on our streets. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Meredith. I live on Eastwood. I have a whole speech, but my library board meeting starts in 5 seconds. So I just wanted to say that I was here in 2021 for every single meeting. And yeah, I was concerned about things, but the vote was passed, and I knew it was coming. In November of 2022, 15 communities voted yes to having marijuana establishments because they were on a ballot. And that's what was going to happen here. So I'm happy the council and the subcommittee has taken every step they could to try to make sure that Harper Woods has some control over what can happen here. The council meetings, the marijuana subcommittees were all posted on the city website, in the insider booklet that comes to you, on the calendar that comes to you. There were places on the website where they were asking for residents to be on these committees, and people didn't show up for it. So I'm so happy that you guys are here now. I hope we can all work together and make this work for everybody. But there is a lot of backstory to this, and I hope everyone can catch up on it. Thanks.
Tony,
Mark Modlin, Harper Woods resident for 13 years. So I just wanted to read a stat because, again, the buffering was it dictated how much business there was coming in terms of number of stores, and these are all cash-only businesses. So you'd be concentrating a lot of cash-only businesses into one spot, which is why the crime is so high in other areas. And the one stat I found, this was in Colorado, and they were well ahead of us in terms of releasing or having dispensaries. And according to the University of Colorado, neighborhoods in that state close to dispensaries saw crime increase between 26 and 1,452%. So, and then Michigan Cannabis Regulatory Agency reported 117 dispensaries statewide were broken into last year. So again, appreciate your vote on the buffer, because the buffer will spread them out, but I'm sure there's more dialogue to happen, and having it in the Insider magazine or on the website is beneficial to everybody.
Well, actually, it's good evening. My name is Jerzy Rosalski. I'm a president of the Arthur Babcock Co-op with 90 units, about 200 people. And first of all, I would like to say that majority of us are against your proposals to have 8 stores in our neighborhood selling and making this city like San Francisco. Even CNN lately announced that marijuana is worse than alcohol for the human health. Also, I would like to mention about the communication. How come it was so difficult to learn? And also you changed the date. In the report first, it should be 23rd. We are meeting today thanks to some volunteers who let us know about this. And speaking about communication, I'm working on the radio station. I would propose us to move these microphones on your table at least 5 inches towards you so we can hear you. You have to speak to the microphone so the audience will hear what is your message. Thank you very much for your attention.
Good evening. My name is Tony Wagner, Washtenaw resident, Harper Woods for just under 30 years. A lot of good comments both from the audience and from the council people tonight. I'm rather impressed. Just a quick show of hands. How many people in this room have actually been in a legal marijuana dispensary? Fair number, but a minority. My limited experience with the dispensaries, I've been to a couple in Hamtramck, a couple in Southwest Ontario. I was very impressed with the operations. The degree of security, the sufficient off-street parking, the general professionalism, the fairly actually high caliber of the customers in the place. The dispensaries I was in, truthfully, I preferred to any of the beer and wine liquor stores I see proliferating in places like Harper Woods, the fast food carryouts, the event venues that seem to be popping up. I personally would not have a problem with 1 or 2 dispensaries like that in my city. You know, I keep hearing this number thrown out about 8 marijuana stores in Harper Woods. Realistically, that is not going to happen, folks. As the acting city manager points out, there are market forces at play. The market will only support X number of retailers in any category. Now, right now in Michigan, marijuana is taxed at retail level of 16%, 6% sales tax, 10% excise tax on recreational marijuana. There is a price war going on. Right now, an ounce of flour is down to $100 an ounce. It was more than that when I went to Wayne State Company decades ago. The point is, you're not going to have 8 stores in Harper Woods. I don't care if there is or is not a 1,500-foot buffer. It's almost academic, other than the legality of it. The market will not support it. Right now, Green Peak, which is out of suburban Lansing, has 20 stores. They do business under the name of Skynet. They're in receivership. The price for the product is so low that the current dispensaries are barely scraping by. You're not going to have 8. You might have 1, maybe even 2 on Harper. And I respect the homeowners on Country Club and Lock 4 concerned about traffic off the alley. I could respect that. But you're not going to have store after store, row after row. To Ms. Constantino's point about when they go out of business and we have a vacant storefront, that is a concern. But it's not as if we don't have vacant stores already up and down Kelly. It's not as if I don't see more for sale or lease signs every time I drive down Harper. And the thing with the 16% tax, which as Mr. Sheridan pointed out, some of that is kicked back to municipalities, about $50,000 per store per year. 2 stores would probably allow you to hire 1 more firefighter, 1 more police officer with benefits. That 16% tax doesn't allow the retailers to raise the price too high, because then people buy it off the street, the black market. So I just want to say I think the council's done a fine job on this. I think it's a reasonable ordinance. And whether there is or is not a buffer is really not as big an issue as we're making it out to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, call the audience, and if it's over, we'll call the council. Oh,
Sherry.
okay. You have to move fast.
Good evening, council, citizens and fellow citizens. My name is Harry Kalogerakis. I live over on Arthur Street. I do want to just bring up 2 points. I heard somebody mention about the difficulty of getting notices for meetings. I would encourage council, whoever designs your web page, to figure out a way to put all public notices on the home page so that we can find them quickly and easily and click on them. The second thing, I hear a lot of my neighbors concerned about possibility of increased crime connected with possible retail stores. I would ask council and actually Chief Hemmerly, perhaps, to contact some of our neighbors who do have facilities. Centerline has facilities. Hamtramck has been mentioned a few times tonight. Let's get some statistics from cities that have lived with marijuana for a couple of years and find out what's going on, and just how many runs come to a store. And let's compare that to something that I think most of us can agree would be useful in our community, say a CVS or a Walgreens, something along those lines. what's the comparison? Are we talking about, oh, maybe more, maybe less, but it would be real numbers for us to make real decisions going forward. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Paul Garwood. I stay on Country Club Drive. Been there for 12, 13 years. I kind of keep my eye to the street. I used to live on the east side of Detroit. And, you know, I sense that these dispensaries are trying to run away from crime. So they're going to neighborhoods that have less crime. But in that process, of going to the neighborhoods with less crime, they bring crime. It's a known fact that dispensaries, like the gentleman said, dispensaries get broken into a lot. Because they're cash-only business. You don't need that in a neighborhood. It's bad enough when it's on 8 Mile and the other many different places that is kind of trying to make Warren, center line. But when it comes to a neighborhood, I think that's terrible. So like I said, to reiterate, I think they're running from crime and trying to find cities that doesn't have as much crime and trying to set up shop there. But in the process, they're going to bring more crime.
Tom Coleman, been on Lockmore for 36 years. I'm sort of blindsided by this. First was the letter that I got that there was a meeting on the 23rd. So I haven't had any time to really look into the details of this or too much, but I want to suggest this. I think you're taking a short-sighted. You're looking at the money that you're going to get from this. But you may lose more in the long run than the money that you get. You got to be concentrating on the quality of life, the value of the property. You want to work maintaining that. I've lived here 46 years. I've never seen so much litter at Harper Woods as I've seen. You know what the broken window theory is? You got to start working on those things. You got to work on enforcing ordinances. I would have you look at Grosse Pointe Park. That's another city that borders Detroit. They have worked hard to maintain the quality of their city. They have a very thriving business area there, right by Alter, you know, Birchville. They've done a lot of things. Dispensaries are, we have an ordinance against dispensaries. There's good reason for that. So you might want to look to them and see how they've done it. They have maintained the quality of their community. Need to work on maintaining the quality of this community. We want it to be a place that people want to move into, not to move out of. Hot shops.
Just the mic so the rest of the people can you hear me? Hello? A little bit more? Okay. My name is Lisa Tapas. I don't reside in Harper Woods. I reside in the city of Grosse Pointe, but I am on the school board for Grosse Pointe Public Schools. And I'm not here in my official capacity. I'm here as a resident, but I do care deeply about the school.
Too close.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Sorry, too close. So I'm here just concerned as a nearby resident, and the fact that we have school children in this community. Grosse Pointe Schools has a segment of Harper Woods in our district. We have students that walk to school very close to those locations that you're proposing these facilities. I also have 4 children, 3 and soon to be 4, that live in Denver. So I just came back from Denver, Colorado. And I can't tell you how much crime is going on there with all the legal dispensaries and the traffic accidents that are happening. When I was there, it was unbelievable how many accidents were occurring in the middle of broad daylight, beautiful sunny weather. And all of these just really difficult, and this was not in the mountains where, you might have, a different kind of terrain. This was in mainstream suburban neighborhoods in Denver, and serious crashes. So we have school children that would be walking by these facilities. I also am a teacher. I'm a public school teacher, and I taught for 3 years in Hamtramck, and I can't tell you, that's a really small 2-mile community. And I can't tell you how much the crime and the problems around those dispensaries were, and how many families and staff and students complained about it. The parents and families that were, the parents and families of my students were very upset about the dispensaries and the way it changed their neighborhood. So I think you have to definitely take your time and do your due diligence. Please talk to people in Hamtramck. I can arrange to have you talk to people in Denver about how it's gone there, because Colorado is way ahead of you. And it brings crime and blight to your neighborhood. It is not worth the money you're gonna get. Don't go for the short-term money for a decision that's gonna affect the long-term health of your community. $100,000 to hire a police officer, you're gonna need 3 for every one that you open. So that's a short-sighted, please think about it.
Hi. What's up? Hi, everyone. How are we doing tonight? I just wanted to address some of the comments that came out earlier today. First of all, thank you for the decision to not adopt that new amendment. This council did a lot of work. The Cannabis Subcommittee did a lot of work, and I think it is a very wise decision to give the ordinance that you did pass an opportunity to really see itself through, to see what does work and what doesn't before we make any changes. So thank you for that. On the issue and comments that were brought up about marijuana crime and businesses that are coming into the community, and in particular the issues that you brought up in Denver, that is actually something I can speak to. I ran the trade association for cannabis businesses in Denver, or in Colorado. And I worked alongside the Colorado Department of Transportation on marijuana traffic safety and driving impairment initiatives. I also worked alongside the city of Denver and their marijuana czar and the state of Colorado's marijuana czar on tracking all of that data, the crime data, the traffic data, the youth access data. And I can tell you with entire confidence that legalization is entirely not responsible for those things that you bring up. Has Denver seen an increase in crime? Yes. Has Denver seen an increase in traffic accidents? Yes, but it's also because Denver has seen an explosive increase in population growth. 2 to 3 times in a short period of less than a decade of what it used to be. And that is why they're struggling as a city with an infrastructure to support the needs of their growing community. I think it's a really easy thing to take marijuana and say, hey, that's the scapegoat. Let's make them the bad guy. But legalization, and the reason that people voted to support legalization, was to take cannabis out of the shadows and make it safe. I don't want kids to have cannabis any more than anybody else. I don't want kids to have access to cannabis because it's not legal and because it affects their brain development and all of the reasons that we already know. But I would encourage anyone to try to get someone under the age of 21 into a legal dispensary. You can't do it. It is entirely not possible. There is security, there are protocols. These businesses' licenses require that. And when a legal store comes into a community, what happens to the dark alleyways where crime occurred? Well, everybody knows bad guys don't like lights and bad guys don't like being on camera. And what do you think we're doing when we open up and we rehabilitate these empty storefronts? So I understand the concerns, and I understand that this is a new thing for Harper Woods, and I empathize with all of you. I hope that at a point where stores do start to open, that these businesses have an opportunity to change that experience for you.
Hello, I'm Janet Hummel. I live at 20839 Lockmore.
2 houses from the alley. My husband Tom and I have lived there 34 years. I'd like to invite you over to my house so you can see exactly what you are proposing, how it will affect our neighborhood, my house, my neighbors, my friends, my family. We live in a good neighborhood. I hope we all do too, here on the board. But I don't think that you've noticed, you don't even live near a proposed site, do you? Not one. I do. My neighbors do. Talking about the lights and how bright that's gonna be. It's gonna keep me up at night because for 13 hours, we will put up with traffic and worry about who's gonna get hit. Where can I park? Can I get out of my driveway because the cars are all parked up? Do I have to listen to loud music as they pull in? Do I have to not go to sleep at night because I have to wait till the store closes? My quality of life will be severely impacted. Would you like that? I don't care what happens in Denver. I care what happens in Harper Woods. You, the city council, are unable to predict who will be using this business. You cannot assure the residents of Lockmore or Country Club of a safe environment any more than you can any other place. But why make it worse? Why invite trouble? What happens when someone brings a gun and starts shooting up in the alley where we are steps away? What happens? A policeman is not going to help. Right then and there, they have to be called. And at that point, it might be too late.
My name is Bob Lindback. I live on Lockmore. I moved there in 1995 because it was a nice, safe neighborhood, and my kids could go to Grosse Pointe schools, so thanks to Harperwood schools. What is that going to do to almost all the places on Harper are in Grosse Pointe schools? Young families are attracted to our blocks on Country Club, Lockmore, Hunt Club, for Grosse Pointe schools. You did due diligence on traffic? Did you do due diligence on property values? And I'll leave you with this. Why should marijuana be so special that there's no buffer zone? There's one for liquor.
All right, call the Councilwoman Williams. Oh, you gotta be a little quicker.
Good evening. I'd like to thank for the special meeting with all of this. My name is Zachary Russell. I do live on Hunt Club, and I did get a notice for the marijuana store. Yeah, for the marijuana store. Couple of things I just wanted to point out. So first off, I used to live in a different neighborhood, Sterling Heights or whatever. There's a dispensary shop over on Van Dyke between Canal and Hall Road, and when that's open, there's just a huge amount of traffic that consistently goes in there, and the amount of traffic accidents I've seen there is astounding, to the point where they've had to put like lane dividers on Van Dyke just to keep people from making illegal left turns into the store. Even despite there's being signage, despite there being explicit instructions, people keep breaking the rules there. So my concern is we have to make sure that the traffic there is not going to be a huge, increase the accidents. Wayne County has one of the highest insurance rates in the state. And I had to cut my PIP, and it still was more expensive than it was in Macomb County. So will my insurance rates start going up even more if there's more accidents that start happening in the county because of the huge amount of dispensaries being opened? I mean, I am a college kid and I am broke. I'd like to try and keep my expenses down. And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wish to speak?
Thank you. My name is Mark Lucchese, and I reside at 20870 Country Club. I grew up in Harper Woods. I continue to live in Harper Woods. It's been a wonderful community. I trust it will, excuse me, continue to be a wonderful community. I understand this is a hot button issue, very emotional for everybody. I think it is important that you, as a city council, consider your mission statement, your vision for the city. Ask, does this type of business fit that mission? Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak before I turn this over to City Council?
I would like to speak. I just have a question to ask. And that is,
Ma'am, you need to come to the microphone so that we can understand and give us your name.
my question is.
Your name.
Oh, my name is Marjorie Vicari. I live on Country Club, like so many of the others here. And I wonder, why do they all have to have isolated, semi-isolated businesses for cannabis sales rather than in a shopping mall somewhere where they're not in a residentially, a residential area? Can anybody answer that? I thought maybe you might know because you knew a lot about cannabis, right? Or do you not?
Needs to address the council.
Yeah, ma'am, you can ask questions after the meeting, but
Okay.
right now, direct them to
I just
us.
thought maybe even
I know.
the board might know.
It's
Why
really
don't they
just
go into
comment
the
time.
malls?
Yeah. Thank you.
You got somebody.
Hi, my name is Katrina Benson. I live on Lockmore. I totally agree with my neighbors that have already spoken, that parking will be a disaster. There's not enough, you would have street parking, and there's not enough parking behind the building to facilitate a business like that. We already have foot traffic on Harper that is somewhat suspect in the evening and even during the day with the people that are walking up and down. Don't want to say they're vagrants, but it's somewhat nervous when you're walking on the street. I walk my dog and I've been in the neighborhood for 15 years now. My walk previously is much more guarded. We're dealing with, during the night, you hear shots being fired. This is outside of a dispensary, but there's a lot of things that are happening in the community that need to be remedied, and this is something that we don't need. If you're looking to put it somewhere, look at an industrial area. You can look at Ferndale, Centerline, and some other locations where they have dispensaries. They're off the roads, they're in more industrial areas. So I'm not for this being in my neighborhood. This is not why I moved over here. I'm looking to retire in the next 10 years, and I don't want that to be part of my neighborhood. If it is, I think I'm gonna have to look to it. That's all I have to say.
Grandiose. Okay. All right. Call the council. Do you want me to start with you or you want me to start the other way? I'll start the other way. Oh, I'm sorry. Sharon, did you have something you wish to say?
Oh, I only said the isolation of the cannabis community or the cannabis businesses, that's state law. That has nothing to do with the city, that's state law. The woman asked about, she wanted to put it into malls or Walmarts or something, was my understanding. We don't take, hang on, and the state law and their rules and regulations mandate how they are constructed, not the city.
I thought the city voted against marijuana in 2018.
You have to stop the back.
Okay.
Yep.
Councilwoman Constantino.
No answer. No answer.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for being here. I just want to remind you that I know who I work for. I work for you. And my husband told me that if we passed this, Harper Woods was going to turn into a really shady place, and he doesn't want that. So he's, you know, he's on the same side. I suppose I work for him too, since he lives in Harper Woods. But no, thank you all for being here and for caring about our community.
Yes.
I pass.
I don't think I have anything to say other than it is good to see people turn out for important causes, and please do stay on top of, you know, the community, stay on top of the council. We have always appreciated having residents' input, and so don't wait for it to be, you know, some hot button topic, because everything we do up here is for the community. We're all residents of the city.
And we appreciate the work that all.
But
Excuse me?
just be on top of it. Keep our feet to the flame, because it's important. It's important for all of us to keep on top of all kinds of issues that take place. So thank you for being here.
Yes, thank everyone for being here tonight, and it is good to hear from everybody. And one of the reasons I didn't do a vote on Monday was because I wanted more input and ideas and thought into this before a Monday vote. So that was my thinking on it. I thought long and hard. I listened. A lot of us listened, and this is what we came up with. So thank you guys for being out here. We do listen and appreciate you guys very, very, very much.
Mr. Jenny said exactly what I wanted to say. Thank you for all coming. I do see several members of our planning commission here. I know they are listening. They're writing things down. They're the ones that are gonna go over all this traffic, lighting, all that kind of stuff. So next Wednesday, I suggest you all come to the planning commission, and that's their job. And we're gonna stay out with them and communicate that this is what our residents want. We want these to be safe establishments. And yes, if we can get the message out better on the website,
What time?
on,
You can't answer.
Yeah, it's kind of given.
it's on the web. It's on the website. So, you got, people that got meetings, they got, 7 o'clock.
It's,
Okay, good evening, everyone. First, I would like to thank everyone for coming out tonight and also for coming out on Monday. As city council, we really do listen to what our residents have to say because we are residents. We live on the same blocks that you live on. We live in the same neighborhoods that you live on. Excuse me? I live on Country Club.
hold up.
Mayor.
Hold up. Sir, she's talking. There's no back and forward. Please allow her to speak. You've had an opportunity to speak. And if you would like to speak to her afterwards, after the meeting is adjourned, you have every opportunity to speak to whoever you wish to. Thank you.
So we do appreciate you coming out. We do appreciate your feedback. We've been working on this for a couple of years, and it's because people voted on cannabis. It's why cannabis will be here. It's not that we all agree with it, because I don't agree with it, but we're trying to make the best decisions that we can based on it coming here. And that's doing the best we can with our ordinance laws, and it will be regulated by the state and local laws. So I encourage you all to come out to our ordinance committees, to our planning committees. We need to hear from you. We need you at those committees also, so that you can voice your opinion. We need to hear from you, okay? Not just when something is like they say, a hot button topic. But we need to hear from you. The last couple of years, during city council meetings, there's usually a handful of people, and it's the same handful of people, okay? But we need to hear from you, not just at the last minute, which is kind of what this is almost like, because cannabis is coming. The best we can do as a city is to regulate it so that we control the narrative, and that's what we're trying to do, to regulate it so that, to regulate it so that we control the narrative. So we do need your input, but we need you at the other meetings also, okay? And that's all I have to say.
All right. Well, that leaves me. And I appreciate the input that everyone has put forth for this now. But I wish you had been here 2 years ago. I wish that you had had the opportunity to take the time to even be a part of the different commissions and things that we have that's ongoing. It's not just about this issue. We also have things going on with the Planning Commission, the Beautification Commission. There are a lot of different things that you can volunteer your time for instead of berating, what we do as we do it. No, we could have your input on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, because we have city council here every first Monday and third Monday of the week. We have been here, and we would have loved to have had the input. That way, we would have known what direction we should have been going in the first place, if you all had given us the opportunity to have your input. Everything that we do here, we try to do for the quality and the betterment of life for all our residents, not just some, all residents. And the reason that we're here at this juncture right now, it's not because you guys didn't come out. It's because the people that decide to sign that petition to bring marijuana to Harper Woods is the reason that we're here today. If we had heard from you guys, if you had made the noise that you're making now, we wouldn't be here at this juncture right now. Hold up, I'm talking. You could speak to me after the meeting is adjourned if you choose to. I'm just saying, I appreciate the participation that you've come to now, but I would have loved to have had you 2 years ago participating so that we could make a difference in everybody's quality of life in Harper Woods. We are not here, we certainly don't get paid here to be your whipping boy, that's for sure. But we are here because we all care and we volunteer our time to be the best that we can possibly be to make decisions for all residents of Harper Woods. Now, we all live here. We all want the best for here. There is no way that if you guys had came out here 2 years ago, we would be at this junction. But since you all are here now, I hope that you commit yourself to be involved in our community from this day forward. I would appreciate you to be here because to make sure that we're doing our job for all of you. Mr. Jennings.
Madam Mayor, I make the motion for adjournment.
All in favor?
Support. Aye.
Motion. Anyone wants to stay? Meeting adjourned.